Welcome back to another episode of Money Talks with Dad.
NextGen.
As you guys might guess, this is not Corinne.
For everyone who's not been following our Money Talks with Dad TikTok, I'm Toby.
Hey, Toby. Obviously, let's just take care of that elephant in the room. The reason we're calling this NextGen is you might be a little bit younger than the other star of the show.
A generational difference, yeah.
Yeah. So Corinne, who kicked off this podcast, is a millennial, and you are a Zoomer, correct?
Gen Z. Yeah.
Gen Z.
Yeah.
So our goal here is to talk about things that are more important to your generation in a shorter format and things like that. So we started this because you had a question for me.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest question, it's kind of the beginning of all finance questions is, I just graduated high school. I'm an adult now. What are the best steps to take to have a good financial future?
Awesome. Yeah. The main thing, and you had done this before you graduated, just because you had some allowance money and other spending money and things like that. But if you don't have one already, you need to open a checking account. Like, that's number one. And I know y'all probably don't write checks. You may never write a check until you have bills to pay, but they call it a checking account. Tell everybody what you ran into, though, because you opened one before you were 18.
Yeah, well, technically you opened
Yep.
one. It was under your management, and it wasn't because I didn't trust you. I just wanted to have my own account that wasn't under your own management. It was kind of difficult to then move everything to my own account because I had to have your permissions and everything.
Yeah, so if you're under 18 and you open a checking account, your parent has to sign off or a guardian has to sign off. Once you turn 18, you can open your own, but then you got to kind of work with the bank to get the money transferred over into your own name. I think legally in Virginia, you could have gone in there with your ID and said, hey, I'm 18. This is my account now, without my permission, but we just moved the money over into your own account.
Yeah, and actually the bank, they don't move the money for us. You have to go to your own app and say, I want to transfer to a bank.
Yeah, it was a little bit of work. The other thing you ran into is going through the fees, right?
Yeah.
Like trying to figure all that out.
Yeah, I didn't have to worry about fees before, but the new bank I was at for the checking account, they had, and I had still with this old account, I had my direct deposit going to that account, but I forget what they were charging, but it was more than I was happy with. And they said you have to have a minimum of $500 of a direct deposit every month, which I get, but it was like 2 months before I finally got around to changing the direct deposit.
But you get the direct deposit because you are working. So somebody who doesn't maybe have a job or a job where they're working full time, they got to really be careful and look at the fine print of those bank accounts, because it might say free, but there's usually an asterisk. And on yours, it said, if you have $500 a month of direct deposits in there.
Yeah, and there's definitely other banks. I took my time trying to find what bank was right for me and what type of account.
Yeah.
I use Chase Bank, and they have like 4 different types of checking accounts.
Yeah.
The one for me is the one for people who have the least amount of money, because I just graduated.
Yeah, but like I said, be careful, because those fees will eat away the balance. If you weren't doing that direct deposit, it was like $5-10 a month, I believe, or something like that. It was not a good amount. So definitely be careful. If you're not going to have those direct deposits, try to maybe look for a different account or even a different bank. I mean, sometimes a credit union might be better if you don't have a steady income coming in from a part-time job or anything like that. The second thing I always tell people on, and I hope yours has this, I never even asked you this, I like accounts where you have a savings account linked to it. Do you have one or not?
I have to open one still.
Yeah.
I kind of just, I'm invested through SEM, so any money I'm wanting to save, I just send it to SEM.
Yep, but there's one thing that you haven't done, and I think you might still have some savings at Exos, maybe not, maybe, but you want a linked savings account, because then every time you get paid, you should be trying to set aside 10, 20, 30% into that savings account, because if something happens, like Fred and I talked about, when life happens, a lot of times you call it an emergency fund. But if something happens, your Axos account with SEM is designed to be for long-term investing. You want something a little quicker, that say your car broke down and you needed money, you want to be able to have that emergency fund where you can move money over from savings to checking.
Yeah, and I want to open a savings account. I have to do it. That's a lot of my problem, and I'm sure other people run into with just being young and learning how to be an adult is to just go out and do it, even if it's boring. I mean, it's like a 30-minute drive to the bank, and I just don't want to do it. So
Yeah. Well, no, you might be able to do it online as well or through their app. Now that you have an account with them. So number one is get a checking account, check the fees, make sure you're not going to have your money eaten away by that. Number two is to open a savings account tied to that checking account so that you can save, even if it's $10 a week into that savings, it's there building up in case of emergencies. And you might not get a very high interest rate on there, but you're at least having money saved away. So the third thing I would do, and part of it is making sure you have an app for your bank so you're checking everything that's going into that. Be careful signing up with your debit card on subscriptions on Apple or Android. Those can definitely add up, and I've seen people literally wipe out their checking accounts because they forgot how many subscriptions they had.
yeah, you lose track very easily.
Yeah, and I do laugh because you had your old checking account. How rather than logging in and figuring out what your subscriptions were, what did you do?
Well, I just decided I would just not put any money in there until they all automatically cancel.
So that's one way to do it. But definitely be careful with what subscriptions you've put in there, which brings me to the third thing I think somebody just graduating should do, and you haven't done this yet either, is find a budgeting app that's linked to your checking account. And for you, a budget's not going to be that hard. Like, what do you guys spend money on right now?
Gas and groceries.
Yep. Gas and groceries, car registration you ran into recently.
Occasional shopping trip. Yeah.
Yeah. So your budget's not really complicated, but you should start tracking now as a good habit of where your money's going. Those categories: eating out, groceries, gas. If you have to pay your insurance, if you have to pay your registration, that's kind of where that savings account comes in. Because say your registration, what was Kaylee's registration? Like 4, 5? I don't know. Yeah.
I think it was like $300.
Yeah, so $300 every 3 years. So that's $100 a year. Well, you could then save what would that be, like $8 a month? Set aside in savings so that when that registration comes due in 3 years, you've already saved up money for that. So things like that on the budgeting app. There's free ones. There's also some ones that are a little bit better that you pay for, but we'll talk about that on other videos. Another one that's kind of controversial, and you haven't yet done it yet, I hope. You're 18, 19, you might.
Oh, yeah.
Is a credit card. And you don't hear a lot of financial advisors. Like Dave Ramsey's like, never do a credit card. But we really encourage young people as soon as possible to get one. And this isn't, I guess this is kind of endorsing it. Discover Card, even when I was in school, seems to be if you have a social security number and you turn 18, they will give you a credit card, and they will give you like a $500 credit limit without any proof of income or anything. So go to Discover, get a credit card, but here's the key. Don't be like, oh, cool, I can spend $500 and then I only have to pay them back like $5 a month because the interest rate will be really high. But what you do is you can say, I'm going to use this just for gas in my car. And then through the Discover app, you set it up for auto pay.
So roughly, you said interest rate, and I'm still learning like how credit cards even really work. How much, if I were to pay it all off every single month, how much do I actually spend extra because I'm using a credit card?
Good question. As long as you have a zero balance when the month starts, and then you pay it off when the statement comes, and that's why I said you can set up on the app auto pay, and then the auto pay options are minimum balance, a specific amount, or full balance. If you pay off the full balance, you will never pay interest. So Discover is basically giving you money for free until your statement is due, and then they'll start charging you interest. Now, if you run a balance, you'll be paying interest on that every day.
Okay.
So the key is pay it off every month, and there's no interest. It's free.
Nothing at all, and you're literally you're getting a higher credit score every time you use it.
Yeah, and that's the
Every time you
key.
pay pay
Yeah,
it off.
exactly. You're starting to build your credit score. You're obviously a long way from buying a house, but it helps because higher your credit score, the lower interest rate you'll pay when you do go to buy a house.
Okay.
So that's really important to understand. Um, and we'll do a whole episode on credit cards.
How about
And
housing and how to afford it?
yeah, definitely. We'll hit that. But the last point to keep this episode short, and you kind of already touched on it already, is you said investing,
Hmm.
and like you were setting aside money. I encourage people, whether it's on Robinhood or through another brokerage account like Fidelity, or we use Axos or Schwab or anybody out there, Vanguard, you can set up a free account, and sometimes as low as a $5 a month commitment can start investing.
Hmm.
And the best way to get rich slowly is to put money aside every single month, or if you get paid twice a week, move $5 over to your online investing account. We'll do a whole other episode on investing, but that's kind of the 5 things. So quick check. Do you remember what they are? Number 1 is what?
Oh, open the checking.
Yep. Number 2 is something you still have to do.
Savings account connected to the checking.
Yep. Number 3 is
Credit card?
close. Budgeting app first.
Budgeting app,
Yep.
which I also need to do.
Yep. Number 4 is credit card.
Yep.
And then 5 was
An actual investing account that you slowly add money to.
yeah. And investing's different than savings. Investing is for long term. Savings is for emergencies. And that's real easy to do that. So anything else?
So for like a budget, how would I know what to section out for a budget, like a good financial plan?
Let's save that for next episode.